everybody, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am so excited to be participating in the collaboration with Sandy Trefker and a bunch of other amazing designers for the 13 Frights Before Halloween. So what's going to happen is every week we are going to post a new Halloween project on Monday, every week leading up to Halloween. And for my first week, I have decided to do a little bit larger than a slimline card using the Cathedral Sky die set from Maker Forte. This die set is phenomenal. The detail is just amazing. So it is a 5-piece set. You can mix and match. You don't have to use all the layers in one shot. I'm going to, but those are the 5 dies that you get in the set. And I'll actually link below in September on, I believe, the 10th. Alex with Maker Forte is doing a free die cutting class on that you can sign up for. I'll link below. If you do the VIP option with that, which is like $7.99, you get an option to buy this die set at a gigantic discount. Like, I can't even tell you. It's huge. The Maker Forte dies are really kind of neat because they are Teflon coated. They're really heavy. So even this one with all these little intricate pieces, this die is not going to like warp at all going through your machine. So let me move those to the side. I have gone ahead and cut my pieces. So there's my base. And I used a combination of, so these 3 were from a Sizzix cardstock pack. This is from an old, or no, maybe it's, these 3 are from Sizzix. This one's from an old Crafter's Companion one I've had forever. And this one, I think is also, I don't know, 3 of them are from Sizzix, 2 of them are not. I don't even know at this point. So we are going to go ahead and adhere these together. So I'm actually going to start with my 2 most solid pieces on this. Let me get my glue that hopefully is not clogged. And I should have checked before I started recording. And of course I didn't because, you know, it's me. This is what we do. So I am going to come in here. I have one little piece I didn't pop out. Haha. And seriously, like, this thing cuts beautifully. I didn't have any pieces that didn't cut through. Pops right out of the die without, you know, having to really fight with it or tear it or anything like that. And I know, I literally just the other day watched somebody doing intricate die cuts and they had a different way of doing it, and now I'm trying to remember what it was because that would be way easier than what I'm doing here. But I remember it was like messy or something. I don't know. So we're just going to go this way. Okay. So these will line up exactly one on top of the other. Grab a cloth. And just make sure we're wiping up any, whoops, let's not bend the paper because that would make no sense. Okay, there's our first layer. Our second layer, of course, is even more intricate. And let me actually, because I think I remember what it was they were doing. Let me grab a page I can work on here. Okay. I'm going to do this because if I remember right, they literally took and got some glue like that and then just was kind of just brushing it on with their finger, if I remember right, and I absolutely did not do enough glue there. And this may be totally crazy and I may be remembering it wrong, but I want to say it was something like that they were kind of just tapping it on to go. Except this is like really going to drive me nuts, so we're not going to do that. We tried. I tried. That will make me crazy if I continue to do that, so we're not going to do that. I know I've seen an easier way to do this, and if you guys know of an easier way to do this, drop it in the comments. But when we get to our 2 smaller pieces, I'm going to use one way that I know for sure is an easier way. I just didn't want to resort to that right here at the beginning. Okay. So then this is going to go down right here. And again, I'm just going to come in really quickly, get any extra glue kind of cleaned up, because I did make a total mess. Oh my gosh. And who knows, the die cut that I watched them do that on may not have been this intricate, which could have been exactly the problem. And I just did that one in the wrong place. So hopefully it's not glued real well. It's not! Yay! Okay. Just kidding. This is our next one. It's going to be one of those days. Can you just tell? Okay. So again, we're going to glue the correct layer in here now. I missed one other little spot there. So you could run these different layers. If you've got a bigger Xyron, you could do it that way. I've used that occasionally, but my biggest issue with that is you end up, especially like these little pieces with adhesive that doesn't ends up sticking out where you don't want it to. And that drives me nuts. So I don't use it super often on like little detailed things. I typically will save it for other more like bigger pieces. Okay, I'm going to recut this because I have just totally made a huge mess out of this one. I've got glue everywhere. Let me recut that. I will be right back. Okay, so recut my little second layer there, second to last layer that is, and I am going to use for this one and for our most intricate one, sticky dots. Maker Forte actually has their own version of these that also, they are from Thermoweb, but they're a little bit bigger size or a different size. I don't have any of those on hand, so we're going to use just the normal sticky dots. And what this is adhesive that has like little tiny dots. I don't know if you guys can see those on there, probably not. But what we're going to do is we're going to peel that backing sheet off. I'm going to actually peel this one off as well. And I'm going to lay this on here. I'm going to take that little carrier sheet again. I'm going to lay it over the top. And I'm going to come in here with a bone folder and I'm just going to rub that down. Shift it over. And again, my one tip would be to watch when you pull this off so that you're making sure that the side that's not going to stick is the one that you're putting face down on this to help get the dots all over your project. Okay, I've only got 1/2, or well, 2/3 of it done, but I'm going to come in here and line this up. This is the nice thing, until you really burnish these down, you can actually, like, if you realize you've put this in the wrong place, you actually can salvage it. Okay, so I'm going to go over here on my last little group and do the same thing. And you can keep kind of moving these around. You get lots and lots of uses out of these before you need to break out a new sheet. Let's see, because I'm not quite lined up right. Since I haven't burnished the whole thing down, I can pull it up and shift it. There we go. Okay, and I'm actually going to put it face down and burnish from this side just so I don't inadvertently you know, catch a piece of it and tear anything. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with our last layer. So I'm going to lay this on here, and you can kind of see when you're actually working with one of these sheets, you can see where you have dots left in case you need to, you know, move things around, or you know, or if you're running, you know, low on them, you can, you know, of course, get a new sheet. I know Country Craft Creations does have these as well in 8.5 by 11, but at some point in, you know, being all like organized and cleaning, I've lost them somewhere in my craft room. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so we're going to put that down and get down here on this end and get our last little spots here. And again, you're just going to go over this like so. And if you see anywhere on here that you don't think you quite got enough of the dots, you can just kind of spot. And this did not want us to go where it needs to go. There we go. All right. So I'm going to put my cover sheets back on. Set that aside because I still have some more on there I can still use. And there is our die all set. So I'm doing a little bit bigger than a slimline card on this because this itself is a little bit on the big side. So completely put together, if you don't trim this down at all, this die ends up making a panel that is 3 3/4 by 8 1/4. And a typical slimline card is 8.5 by 3.5. So it is bigger than, or it's taller than a normal slimline card. So we are going a little bit bigger here. So I have a card base that is 8 3/4 by 4 1/4. So I started with 8.5 by 8 3/4 and scored it at 4 1/4. And I'm going to mat it first with some purple shimmer cardstock from Cartabella, because what I'm going for here with this for a Halloween card is that you're looking up from inside an old Gothic cathedral and you're seeing the purple sky outside, and we're going to add some bats and a sentiment that I haven't figured out yet. This is dimensional enough and has enough depth. I'm not going to do anything to pop this piece up. I'm just going to get this glued down on my card front. And you absolutely could trim this down. You don't have to use all 5 layers. You can do, I mean, there's a card example on Maker Forte with this that I don't remember if it was one of Alex's or one of her design team, that they did all white with this particular die and stacked them together, and it is absolutely stunning. Okay, so we're getting that in there. And then I have a bunch of little bats because it was driving me crazy yesterday. I was like, I know I have a die that has little bats. And here we are. So I just need to figure out which bats I want and where I want them and how many of them I want. I don't think I want 2 of him. I think I want another one of him. I'm going to put him in there. And maybe we do want him. Okay. And so I'm going to pop a couple of those up with some black foam squares. And then I'm going to find a sentiment for this because I didn't get that out. That's the only piece of this I did not get pulled together before I got this started. So that actually, those foam dots are down in between some of those. So this isn't standing up a whole lot, but we're going to make sure that this guy does. I actually have to cut one of these guys in half for this one. So I just cut them in half on the sheet. That way if I don't use both halves, then they're there for another project. Okay. So this guy is going to go not upside down, how about, because that would look weird. It's going to go about right there. And I think he's going to come up over here. See, I was mostly planned out on this, but not entirely. Still have pieces of this that I was not sure. Oops, the back didn't come off. That's why it doesn't want to sit there. Because I was still kind of playing with this and figuring out how I was going to do this. So there's some of my bats. I think I'm going to put him over here. Cut another one of these. Okay. So he's going to sit down over here. And then my last little guy is going to kind of come up like so, I think. And then I will find our sentiment and we'll be done. So super easy. Since I'm not doing a whole lot of ink blending or anything and a lot of stamping on this, this is probably the fastest card I've done in, I don't even know, because normally when I do cards it takes me forever and I make a gigantic mess, and so far with this one we're doing pretty good. Let me grab a sentiment, I'll be right back. Alright, we're going to try something that I may regret here in about 5 minutes. So I have literally an ancient stamp set. It is from 2011, I think, back when I was on the design team for a Jillian Vance design, back when they were like brand new. And I was on their design team about 1.5 years. And I don't know that okay, so let's go. This says, from ghoulies and ghosties and long-legged beasties and things that go bump in the night. So I am probably going to regret this, but I'm going to try it anyway. I am going to stamp this first with black ink. So I have Color Hive Remarkable Eclipse Black from Maker Forte. And let me grab my smusher. We are going to stamp this in black first. Oh my god, that worked perfectly. I love this. This is good. Okay, now we're going to leave this right where it is. I'm going to wipe all of this off. And then I'm going to come in with my clear Color Hive ink. This is the stuff for embossing and watermarking and all that kind of fun stuff. And we are going to emboss this sentiment, which it's a really tiny one. I may regret this, particularly since I just stamped that and did not go over it with the powder tool first. But I think we'll be okay with this cardstock because this is that kind of slippery Cardabella cardstock. So let's grab this out of here. I will clean that up in a minute. And this is where my crafting goes off the rails and I make a huge mess. The minute I get out ink and stamps, it's all over with. Okay, So I am going to use, this is Maker Forte Rainbow Sparkler, which is a black that has some kind of colors and things in it. It's really pretty, but I don't think I used it on something. I just don't remember what. So I'm going to get that on there and be fairly generous with it. Gently. And then I'm going to put all of this back in the jar. And I have all sorts of like non-stick trays and that kind of thing. Honestly, nothing works better than just printer paper, I gotta say. Okay. Oh, come on, get it back on there. There we go. Other than that, I've got a mess. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, I am gonna heat set this. And normally I would have preheated my heat gun. I would have let it just kind of sit here and aim off the side of the desk and run for a minute, but I didn't do that. So we are going to turn this on for a second. What I was kind of afraid of. It embossed really well, other than I just touched it and it was still hot. It embossed really nicely, however, my sentiment is too small. So I am going to actually cut that off and we will restamp. And it was a nice idea, but unfortunately it's not going to work the way I wanted it to. So that happens sometimes. Not a big deal. Just, you know, move on. Okay, so we are going to stamp this with black ink. I'm gonna hit it twice just to be safe, even though this one actually stamped really, really well. I will say that much, other than I moved it. This is just not my day to do this, apparently. Like always. But I have another scrap, so we're going to try it again, and this time I will make sure that my thing does not slide, because the paper itself didn't slide, the little mat slid. Just a tiny bit. And smusher. And really it's fine with one go at it, so we're going to do that. Okay, and I am going to heat set this really quickly just because it's going on kind of a different cardstock. So I'm going to heat set. Okay, and then I can trim this down. How I want to trim this down, so I think I'm going to take a little bit off of the bottom here, and then a little bit off the side because we're not quite straight there. Actually, I think it might have been straight and I just did it weird. There we go. Okay. For some reason I was looking at it and it was looking slightly crooked, but I think it's actually okay. Okay, there we go. That's better. And then we'll go this way. Get about right there. And now I just need to decide, because this is the this is the point where I always like way overthink the sentiments and end up making a complete mess of my cards. I'm not even joking. Which is too bad because I used to be much better at that. But that's okay. You know what? I think I am going to go ahead and fussy cut this. Just because I think it will kind of give it that little something something that I couldn't get because embossing was not going to work because it was too thin of a sentiment. I can't even talk today. Okay. And then we're going to come up around like so. There. I don't think it needs matted. I think we're going to put it on here just like that. I am going to get some glue on the back side of it here. And I'm going to go ahead and push that down right there, except I think I'm going to need tape, not glue. Pretty sure my glue is not going to work in this case. And where is my tape runner? Or a tape runner. Here is a tape runner. Except I think it's out. Maybe? Maybe there's tape on there still. Yeah, there is. And I don't think this one's a repositionable. God willing, it's not. Okay, so there's that. I have one more little bat that I really probably could tuck over here if I wanted to. And I kind of do, actually. So we are going to just actually hit him with the tape runner, too. Because I think that will be easier. On his front. Okay, so I'm going to tuck him like so, and there we go. We are done. Of course, you can put a sentiment inside. I don't usually do that ahead of time because I just don't, but there we go. There is our first of 13 Frights project. Only thing left to do is to stamp on the back of this with my handy dandy new little stamps that I got that have my name on them. So I'm going to get some white ink on here, and I'm actually going to stamp this off on a scrap really quickly to make sure I didn't get too much ink. Too much ink. There we go. That's better. Okay. That is a really juicy ink pad. Okay. So we're going to stamp that on the back. And there we go. All done. Too much fun. Okay, so come back next Monday and we'll have another project for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.